numbers, you're probably not going to get anything as far as the numbers. I'm usually not even interested in the numbers here because it's such a dead EMF space. It's the colors out of yours. Everything else, so Francisco, I definitely want you cranking that thing up, unmute it, let's get you listening in. And again, we're going to know within like 5 to 10 minutes like what's going on with the space. It's either a hit or it's a miss. And that's just the way this location goes. I'm going to head up towards that wall. Those of you with cameras, are you still recording, Brooklyn? Yes, you're blinking, good. But yeah, let's have some fun in this location, and let's see if we can capture it. London, if you want to take the cameras over to the...
What was the name of the ship? I don't know. Do you remember? No. Brooklyn, are you saying you gotta be doing this, honey?
I'd have to review it.
Brooklyn, you need to be paying attention right now. You're not... Brooklyn, what are you doing? Hey, step out. Pay attention.
Stop moving so fast, then.
I'm not.
Yes, you are. I don't want to do this.
What?
I don't want to do this anymore.
Dion. Dion. Dion.
What? Could be. Sure. What's wrong?
It's just scary.
There's nothing scary at all about this. You didn't see anything, neither did we.
Alright.
I mean, we can go, honey. Okay? You want to go? I mean, we're done in like 2 minutes. Can you make it? That was all the storytelling that got you going?
Alright. Hey, honey, we still have to record. This is for other people too, not just you. So we can go. We can let them know. Okay?
Story was really good.
What?
Talking about the stories.
No.
We get her so bad.
Oh, I gotta turn it off.
How are we getting back to the hotel?
Should I turn the camera off?
So basically, you're going to hold it from up here and just kind of right at your side. No, down. There you go. Perfect. So angle it up a little bit. No, back it up. Not your arm.
Not your arm.
No.
Wait, what?
Put your arm down
Uh-huh.
and then pull your wrist. Angle your wrist up. There you go. No. She had it. Like now she's got it. Perfect. There you go. All right. So again, we're going to see how the tours go down there, and you're going to see how large tours can go if you've never been on a ghost tour. If we're allowed to go to 20, I just won't do it. Again, it's still fun for you guys. So this place behind me is called Philadelphia Alley. This place used to be called Jewelers Alley. This is where the jewels used to occur for the city of Charleston, and East Sullivan. So we all talk about one specific jewel, but of course I'm going to change the story a lot differently because you need more details because you're ghost hunting. I actually kind of like that the cameras are on the edges tonight. That's a new thing. It gives me a little bit of wiggle room to move around, and I'm not in the picture. So keep that in mind for now. I normally have you guys like close in the middle, and I'm kind of dancing around them. But let's talk about this duel. There's a doctor. I'm going to write both of them down with a question. How about that? If it's on the camera, obviously you guys will be able to verify that. That's pretty cool.
I can put in your bag, please.
So, anything that says Charleston, I omit because you're listening to Charleston radio stations. I also omit anything with the current year. It's too easy because 2022 is in every car commercial, and if 20 or 22 is relevant to the space, it's a definite no. I want like 20% off, or 22 people died in the plane crash. Those are the kinds of 2022 numbers. So again, I want the singular number when it comes to that. 8. 8. No. doing right now. Okay. We'll see. I might have to do some digging. Numbers and names usually don't lie. So there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash flow. So the attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. He advises Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd moved to Charleston to prove that he's not just after her cash. As he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So he's going to be renting a room somewhere. The coachman said, this guy looks like he has money. So they kill him and take all his money. Somebody's walking by and sees what's about to happen. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. R.I. shows up here a lot, but these are the two main characters, so we need that secondary clue to verify who it belongs to. Back to Ralph. He says to the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. He doesn't really say dude because it's late 1700s. He says, you don't want to stay here. He's got a gunman inside. He's going to try to kill you and take all your money. I have a friend at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room from them. You'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, and the two become friends. The longer the doctor stays in Charleston, the more his medical practice starts to take off. He's making his own money now.
Be
friends. Your word list is actually probably better than ours tonight. We actually have some decent terms coming out of yours. Hers are like specific. But the two become friends. The doctor's making a lot of money. He's proving his point that, he didn't want Amanda's money. He becomes known as the whistling doctor because Amanda's moving down soon. It's so funny that we're getting fireworks here. And we're going to explain that here in a minute. It's part of the reason why I don't like the 4th of July is because of this exact story. Because we're talking about rules, obviously. I don't even know where they're coming from. Where are they coming from?
Over there.
Over there?
Yeah.
All right.
I don't hear anything.
Oh, of course you don't. You got static. Where was I? Where did I leave off? Making his own money. Oh, the Whistling Doctor is what his new nickname becomes. And every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a cliche whistling ghost. I actually have proof of this one specifically. Let's move on. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's kind of the way the hierarchy works in Charleston. They talk about the plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare, and they start arguing over the new actress that was in town. Dr. Hush is fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting Amanda, the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. The two go their separate ways. Ralph has friends at the newspaper. He places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The word ad showed up on Dion's word list, just so everybody knows. But he tells the whole city what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad and rebuttals with, we're going to do it now. Someone's going down. Settle this once and for all. They come down, take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor points his gun in the air and he shoots. See why I don't like the fireworks on Philadelphia Halloween? So he shoots his gun in the air. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to prove that he had the courage and bravery to show up to a fight, which is often what happened at a duel. You shot it into the ground and into the air. But Ralph has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. Proves his point that he's just pissed off. So the doctor drops to the ground and his friends pick him up. Carry him home to 59 Church Street where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed this out himself. So, the campfire ghost story part of this is that as you walk through the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. You have to remember, I used to go down this alley. And I would say, all spirit boxes off, we weren't using earbuds yet. It's all about the voice recorder. So, we do have some whistles that we cannot debunk because, again, remember, all the locals know this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street on the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. So, me in London actually throw a whistle down the alley every single night because we end over there. Our garage is right there above that Scotchman, the little mini mart over there. So, we have to pass the alley, and we always throw a whistle down the alley because people get down. Here's why. Here's the fun part of the story. Kristen's like, I've been waiting for this part. Shut up and get to it. So, this alley can always come all the way through. Okay, so the bricks on the other side are going to be older. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's one full handprint and fingerprint swipes in those bricks on the other side. I'm sure you guys gathered by now I'm all about the history. So I was always there to show it off, but I also treat that brick the same way I do a grave. You're not going to get a whole lot of activity out of it because that kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. However, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 wanted to huddle around that brick and try to get an EMF or spirit box reading out of it or whatever. Trying to urge them to move on. However, it is outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion at the end of the tower. He was not very happy with me or London. But London thought it was great because his dad's getting yelled at by the new neighbor. So, we move on. The next day is November 27th. That was Thanksgiving of that year. I did not have a tour. because I worked in retail for over 20 years. I'm sure you guys can appreciate me taking the Thanksgiving off. Yes, I work for Walmart even still, so take that for what it is. The next day was November 28th. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway or to just reroute my team. We're allowed to go down halfway, but it's not fair for my 10 to try to work around the 20 to 60 people that are going to be down there from other boards to investigate a space. I decided to reroute and not tell my team what we're going to be investigating. Before we leave, somebody hears the name Ann on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the famous female pirate Ann Bonny. I'm like, all right, I didn't even believe the story. I did tell them that. So we get down there, and I told them a little bit that I did know and said, let's just kind of see what happens. We're going to wing it. Somebody else hears the number 300 on their spirit box. I don't know what that means until I do the research the next day. I'm doing the research the next day. Ann Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on November 28th of 2020, the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. We keep going back night after night in hopes that we'll get more evidence. Lately, we've been getting a lot more. We're going to have to switch up some of the questions just because of what's been going on. Jessica, you're going to be a big part of this one, just so you know. Along the way, what do you have? You look excited.
Oh, I don't know. I got insurance too.
Just training.
Okay. No, we're going to call it over the top next. That way we can get everybody there. Very interesting that you have the name Sue. Have you heard anything on yours to kind of relate to that? Dion, I'm talking to you.
Nothing.
Nothing. Very, very interesting. But I do want to get us off this hot corner again. It's hopefully going to be a little bit cooler the further we get away. Anything? Well, you've been on mute. Anybody else got anything going on with their devices? Because he's a doctor. You thought he could hear us all. He was trying to read out the rules for himself.
Huh?
He's lacing.
Oh, that was a while ago.
We're going to go this way.
He says.
He got the word scary.
Yeah.
And then courage.
Wait, why is this not going? There it
Yeah,
is.
we want to use those lasers up here. You can put them in this location. Try not to use it out here by the restaurant.
Got it.
So are these original brick pavers from way back when?
They are.
Wow.
Over here.
What?
Perfect. We're going to stop here and position you guys in kind of good areas. So first and foremost, I know it's a little bit wet down here.
Oh no, it's not the way. It's just like I'm sneaking into like certain cracks.
Oh, gotcha. I want you to pick one laser and I want you to point it at this wall. Try not to go inside the window. So stand all the way back to the wall. Perfect. And then look you're going to stand in the center. And you're going to film going straight down the alley. This close what we're looking for here is something that's going to interrupt the anomaly here. Ever seen my arm light up? That's basically what we're looking for when we watch this video. This is actually one of the, not to mention, second major thing that I look for when I'm watching that video is to make sure she's still recording, which is awesome. You're recording now, Trey, with Dion, so you're in a perfect spot too, so we get weird anomalies down here. Tell me what you guys heard along the way. I got scary, you say he was tired, terrified, not tired, got it. Did we get any names out of anything? Roger. Nope, no names. I know exactly. Alright. Anyone else got any names?
I just have a courage positive program.
Needles? Needles? Alright, so let me tell you why we're here. When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown Wall used to be. So you are standing on one of the first streets Charlestown ever had. Yes, Charleston used to be called Charlestown. So part of the reason why we're actually not going to be spending a lot of time here and keeping that on the youth side, Francisco, but that's a hotel room right there, and so we've been there, we don't want to disturb them, so you guys know. That's another reason why we use the earbuds. And again, your device is very important, it's just we can't use it in every space. So with that said, I have the full list of names of every person that's ever lived down this alley before. This was a normal street for them. So the names I commonly hear are Benjamin and John. Now Roger, I want to say is going to be tied to something else that we're going together called Lucy. He's got it now. Hopefully we can get a clue to be able to verify that. Again, things lead over, you never know where. But the full Benjamin and John's that I normally hear every 6 to 7 weeks. Right now we're in that loop. We're on weeks 4 and 5. So I wasn't expecting any of you to actually hear Benjamin and John. And I'm studying this alley for my next podcast episode based on the stones that you're standing on. So here's why we're here. We're dealing with Belgian blocks on the ground. These were laid in 1739 that we know of, and they're made purely of granite. When I say that they're purely of granite, you guys have all heard the term limestone before, because you all seem like you're into the paranormal in some way, shape, or form, and you know that limestone stirs up activity. Now, granite also comes straight from the earth, but it's not supposed to hold an electrical charge. So Jessica, I'm going to have you put your device on a brick, pick any brick. Nope, you don't need to do that. I just want to know about the red numbers that show up on there. We're going to leave it on there for about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and help her keep an eye on that so she can stay bent over. But these bricks are not supposed to hold a charge at all. If we get anything, it should be up to 1.1 because that's just natural from the earth. Lately, they've been going all the way up to 9, 11, 13, and 15. So again, and it hasn't been every single night. You never know what's actually going to occur. Again, as we get closer to that 6 to 7 week long loop, this is what we're dealing with. The stone tape theory. Basically, the bricks are hanging on to the consciousness of the memories of the things that happened here. Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. Granted, there were 4 different Johns that lived here. This John likes to give us his last name, Johnson. John Johnson will come up all in one night at the same night of Benjamin's name as well. There's nothing significant about these two gentlemen or the year 1801. It's all about the stone tape theory that we're dealing with. London, anything coming up out of there? You have something? Okay, let's see. Pick up your device. You're probably not going to get anything at all. So this is not a lucky night for us on that. It's like doing a scratch off ticket. You never know. So the interesting thing is that list is not very long. When I see people live down here, I'm only talking like 4 to 5 people at a time. So 2 out of 5 people that I keep getting every 6 to 7 weeks, I don't call that coincidence. Before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. Jessica, you feeling okay? You look very hot, by the way. Like you were like as far as sweaty. Like I don't know if you were like feeling dizzy or anything. Keeping an eye on you. So it wasn't hitting on you. It was a matter of like, no, you look hot, as in temperature hot. So but with that said, the Freemasons will get terms wrapped around them as well. Freemason, Mason, break. The word Illuminati lets it show up on those red spirit boxes that you guys have in the earbuds. And the weird thing about that is you guys are listening to radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio? First off. And second, why are we only hearing it when we're in this space? Those have been showing up not on a loop, but just kind of random. You never know when Illuminati will actually show up here. So we had it 6 times last year and 3 times so far. Living here off weekend. Sorry. Gotta get this kid off. You guys are all the time. So the next space that we're going to, again, this isn't a space where we're going to sit here and ask any questions. I'm hearing like little dust particles kind of flow through here.
Yep.
So again, I'm sure you're going to notice those when you're watching the video. But the next place we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it. Why? Because I have to pick up. You guys have all the blinky lights and the flashy meters and the noisemakers and that kind of thing. It is considered residential at the end. So we tell that story outside of it and stir up the activity a little bit. We will hear from the rest of our time together things from that space. So as we exit, both videos will stop recording because we'll be cutting through a neighborhood to get to that location. So again, we don't record a neighborhood. Francisco, as we start moving again, you can definitely unmute and continue listening until we get to the next space, and I'll have you mute again as I tell that story. The rest of you guys can definitely keep listening to yours. Jessica, you're still kind of out of the game because we're going to be near parking meters again. So again, we like to do tests with yours because it's more scientific than everything else. And it will definitely be no late for the next stop as well. We'll be at the last stop for the late back up again. Again, we can't use every single device in every single location, unfortunately. Alright, so let's take a hike through the rest of this alley. Definitely listen in and tell me what you guys are seeing, and then we'll talk about it once we get to the next stop. Once we exit, get us a little bit of creepy footage as we're walking through. How you doing in them jeans, man? You hanging in there?
Oh, good, Jeff.
God, I couldn't do it. I'm trying to find lighter shirts, and these things are already paper thin. I wanted to go to like a bowling shirt, kind of.
Well, we went to dinner first, then we came out here, but.
All right, now go ahead and touch the video. There you go. You got it. Let go. Oh, nope, you started trying to get your hands up right. We are not going to be filming on East Bay Street until we get into the alley. When we do, hit your top. You would actually get bleed over from Big John. I'm going to wait to see if another clue shows up about Mr. Owen.
Okay, I just got Owen and something rubbed.
I don't know, but Owen is definitely relevant. I'll
Okay.
kind of give you that one later on if it shows up. The children, there were 4 of them grand total. You kept hearing the number 3.
Yeah.
Did somebody actually poke the bear and actually ask about the tragedy?
No.
Okay. Because normally when we do that, that's when we start getting the number 3 over and over again. Like she doesn't want to talk about this tragedy, even though I'm going to give it to you anyway. So, with that said, there are 4 kids. Charles you already know about. Obviously signed over the Constitution, ran for president 5 times, boring guy, right? Politician. We're going to move on. Thomas fought in the Revolutionary War battle, the Battle of Camden, just southwest of here in South Carolina. He was actually captured by the British and shot in the left leg. So when he was released, he was left on a cane the rest of his days. So again, these are the terms I look for with Thomas in the event that he actually shows up here. Obviously, we didn't get any clues relatable to Thomas. I just like to give you what I look for. Baby George is the next one. This is where things get a little weird and creepy. Baby George, you can obviously see where this one's going based on his name. This is the tragedy I told you not to poke the bear with. He doesn't have a grave or a headstone. The only thing we know about him is that his birth and death were in June of 1747, because that's what's on his death certificate. It is a possibility he doesn't have a grave because they would have kept him mummified right here in the home. Basically wrapped him up like a mummy and kept him here waiting for his mother to pass away so he can be buried with his mom. That's my theory and my theory alone. You cannot Google mummy baby and not expect the government to call you. So I cannot prove any of this, but it is a very likely scenario. It's going to get even weirder when we start talking about Eliza's death, so just kind of keep that in mind. But there is one more child. Her name is Harriet, the only daughter. She married Daniel Horry. Horry County is Myrtle Beach. Now you have an idea of where she lived. So it wouldn't have been a 2.5-hour car ride to go see her. Lots of letter writing. So if Harriet does show up here, which is very seldom, ink, paper, quill, those type of terms will show up. Eliza's death. That was you, right? You had the Eliza questions about her death? She was 70 years old when she died, not 80, because I think 80 showed up on a spirit box somewhere, am I right? But I think we all had 80, and then you guys had 89. I was looking at 89 for you guys because of the year, but she actually died in 1793. I just don't remember, like, what year was it? So 93 shows up here often as well. But she was 70 when she died, and she was going to Philadelphia to get treatments for whatever they thought she had. It turned out to be breast cancer. Did we not have the word cancer show up on your word list?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the word cancer.
I just got like a bunch of new words as you were talking.
Give them to us. What do you got?
First was feet when you were talking about Baby George.
Okay.
Bold, and then Austin, vaccine, lead, and poop.
What was the last one?
Poop.
Who? Yeah, all very vague terms. In Philadelphia, that's where Eliza died. That's where she's also buried. So, why the stories in the cemetery, the tour, not take you to actual cemeteries? Well, first off, Charleston's one giant cemetery because we've had tons of deaths everywhere. But you don't get a whole lot of activity, paranormal activity, in a graveyard because none of you are going to hang out in the cemetery when it's gone. You're going to go to your mansion 400 miles away, which is exactly why we go to the spaces that we go to on the tour. So, Baby George, the other question that you should have in the back of your mind is if my theory is true, they would have transported Baby George from this space by horse and carriage all the way to Philadelphia to be buried with his mom. So again, take that for what it's worth. I can't prove it, but it is a very likely scenario. Anybody want to take a guess at the president who was the pallbearer at her funeral? 1793? History buffs going once, twice. Are you getting a lot of terms showing up?
I got alcohol and Russian, but I thought it was funny because you were Russian before.
Oh. Very interesting. Guesses on that president? Once, twice? Mr. Washington. At his own request, wanted to pay homage to Eliza for her indigo helping to get his country started. So, I will tell you when we got here, I told you all one subliminal message. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse? Click the reset. She did move her hand a little bit. Yeah, it can be very sensitive at times. So the reason why I gave you that question of the George Washington's white horse bit is to put George Washington in the back of all of your brains and see who's going to be able to give me that answer while we were actually working in the field, or even after I asked you all again. And again, it is a true story that George Washington was a pallbearer, but you all passed with a fail because even when I asked you again, you still couldn't give me the correct answer. So good job. I do that on purpose to see who's going to be subject to subliminal messaging. So that's actually my little word play for the night. It's the only one that I do. Here's what's going to happen from here. We're going to go up to Lodge Alley. It's about 3 blocks away. Spirit boxes, this is your time to shine. Brooklyn, go ahead and stop your video. That's the button at the top. And then, there you go.
This?
Perfect. You got it. It'll start to blink if it's recording.
Alright. Where? Over here? Video? I'll do the stomach hurts. I'm feeling really bad.
See anything?
It's really blue though.
Huh?
Ask questions.
Well, I'm still curious, is anybody by the trash can? That was weird they came up with the trash can.
I know.
But mine hasn't changed off of port.
Is there a pressure point right here? I got shot again.
Pressure point? Oh, yeah.
My whole body hurts right now. Not even over the camera. Oh, mine's going off.
Gradually focus on them.
Mine's
Focus on mommy, too.
sensors?
What does it say?
Sensors? I don't know what that means.
Sensors. I don't know what that is.
I don't know. Look it up.
Probably a big old grave site right here. Concrete pad. Is that your sock? What's up?
Nosebleed.
I swear, if I get a nosebleed right now,
Who has a nosebleed? What does nosebleed mean?
Keep the camera on people, honey.
Yeah.
Not just up close.
Porch.
You got a nosebleed on the porch. How come you get stuff? I'm not getting anything.
I don't know. Just reset yours. Like,
Mine hasn't moved at all. This is where the front porch was?
okay, well that's not helping.
Back here, so you guys can tell me the extra things here. Great, some money, huh? You got money? Yeah. All right. Okay. All right.
I'll take 3 of each.
So I told them to bring waters with them for to be walking around, and of course they chugged them on the way here. I'm like, good job, girls. Good job. We live like 45 minutes away, so it was one of those places. And London knows where she's going down here, so don't worry. Like, I know she's short and small, but she knows exactly what she's doing. All right. Anything crazy going on with your word list?
No, it's still stuck on accelerate.
Accelerate. So we did get the word election that showed up on that, and I will tell you that Charles, the son, did run for president 5 times. So that's a pretty big deal. Obviously, election being something pretty huge with the Pinckney family. We did get the number 89 that came up out of the FSPOV. I don't know what that means. Like, there's no relation in the back of my brain for that. But again, I'm pretty excited about some of this stuff. Because you guys heard like rice field. They've heard the name Eliza twice. You know, we obviously have I am Charles on your word list. Like, there's some pretty specific things going on, which are all great starter clues. Nothing really here says Eliza and then her maiden name to kind of verify it is the Eliza that we're speaking of. So kind of take that in stride with how I actually operate. So we're going to go ahead and mute that just for the next couple of minutes so I can kind of get you guys the answers here. The first thing I like to show you guys always at a location, if I have a picture of the person, is their mugshot. Like, you need to know who the heck you're trying to hunt down. Whenever I break out the tablet, I will go around the horn, like around the entire table. This is Eliza Lucas Pinckney. This is the second wife who married Charles at the age of 22. He was 45. So again, creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. I think that was from your movie.
Yeah.
The first wife was Eliza Lamb Pinckney. So the maiden names you would have been listening for were Lamb and Lucas. I think that covers it on those two. The mansion caught fire. So the only photograph we have of the mansion, nobody heard anything relatable to flame, nor did we have anything.
I might have heard burn.
Did you hear burn?
Yeah, but I don't think it was hot.
It's okay. If you heard it, or if like normally, it's whatever the first instinct you have. Like, you can't go back and double check it. So it's whatever the first thing you think you heard. I'm going to write it down so that way you guys can actually try to verify it on the camera. Remind me to write that down on the way to the next location. But this actually occurred almost 70 years after Eliza's death. This is the only photograph we have of the mansion. This is exactly where you're standing right now. And this occurred on December 11th of 1861. So with that being said, we will get the numbers 12, 11, 61, and burn, fire, flame, anything obviously relatable to a fire. Now, every Charleston tour is going to tell you about a fire of whatever year it happened in. That's the name of it, right? Charleston Fire of 1861. The fire we're talking about here is actually one of the biggest fires that Charleston ever endured. You're standing on the green dots on the right-hand side of this map. That's how large the fire was. It's obviously all in the orange. It's the entire peninsula width. So it literally went from one side of the peninsula to where we're standing all the way to the other side. So again, you're standing on the green dot. That's how big this fire was. This is $5 to $9 million worth of damage in 1861. I have no idea what that translates to today, just so you know. That would be a lot. So again, just kind of keep that in mind.
How did the fire start, do you know?
I do know, actually. Great question. See, I'm a brain sometimes. The Harris Teeter grocery store up the street, it was about that approximate area. Some homeless folks were just trying to stay warm. The fire got out of control, came down East Bay Street, and then went that way and did a whole hell of a lot more damage than what I just showed you. So, yeah, started with some homeless folks just trying to stay warm. Who had the questions on the children? Who was supposed to ask?
Oh, I had the children.
You had the children.
Yes.
All right, let's go up this way. Now that everybody knows how to use the devices a lot better.
Charles from Jessica's school.
You're lucky I'm insured. She knows exactly where we're going, so she took the shortcut. You all followed, which I found absolutely hysterical.
I'm funny.
I try not to take you guys over the broken signs and that kind of thing. So, welcome to a beautiful parking lot. Congratulations, you made it. Yes, it's a parking lot. That was a joke, everybody. Lighten up. So, what is this thing? Really, motorcycle guy? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden is lined up with 5 church restaurant over here, and we are painting in servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of this place. First and foremost, spirit boxes. Again, I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. You will get the answers from your spirit boxes. So, let's talk about Eliza and Charles. Who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles, and they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you guys lost count. You see why I look for those secondary verifiers now? We need to know which damn Charles we're actually talking to. We need a clue as to who that person was. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. It's a pretty big deal for us. However, I hate politics more than everybody here. So we're going to move on. So, is that fair? Yeah, I think so. Nobody wants to talk about politics. So, yeah, I think definitely no. Move on. So, we're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. So if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear like 12 and 14, like colonial time marriage ages. You're going to hear numbers as young for today. The reason I bring this up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. So again, it was a creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. Just kind of put that in the back of your brain. It's like, yeah, I get it. So with that said, she married Charles because her father over in England thought he was dying. And he was trying to bring all of his children back home again so he could see him one last time. Eliza didn't think he was dying, so instead, she stays here and gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in, obviously, the New World because you want a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she does marry Charles out of love, and even after Charles died, because yes, he went first because he was over double her age, remember, she did remain a widow after that, so you don't need to poke the bear about what she did after her marriage to him. But her father gets better, and he starts sending her gifts to this space. You guys have been in town for at least an hour that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere, I promise you. He sent her indigo seeds. Indigo actually is a plant that makes blue dye that makes all of your blue denim jackets blue. That's what's in your jackets right now. That's the reason why I pointed it out, because that's my memory of like, oh, we have the 3 indigo girls. Awesome. So again, that's how we use it today. But when she got these seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. So once she figured it out and experimented with it right here, she moves it to another plantation, calls her father and says, the rice plantations in South Carolina are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. Now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times.
Charles.
Imagine that.
I got Charles.
Already. So what do you have going on?
I am, it says. I have I am.
I am and then Charles?
Well, it said Charles and then I am.
We need to know which Charles. Give us the right clues. So you're going to have to send me that list. I'll show you how to do that later.
All right.
So, things we can ask, because that was just Eliza's business. That's the serious stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here. So let's go after Dion. First thing I'm going to separate these questions so that no way everybody's not bombarding themselves. So you're going to ask about, there's 2 different Elizas that Charles married. So the first wife, Eliza, died in 1744 in January. Then he marries the second Eliza in May, the one I just told you about, 5 months later. First wife dead, 5 months later remarries another woman with the same name. Yeah, kind of weird. This guy's a little creepo. So at the same token, both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Try to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking what her maiden name is. Francisco, your device. So I want you going after what happened to the mansion. And then if you get an answer, obviously when did that happen? I'm giving you this series of questions because here's going to give you like 1 to 2 syllable words that you can make out, and all of those answers are 1 to 2 syllables. Just so you know. But kind of keep that in mind when you're going through that. Let's go through. I want to give you the questions about her children. I want you to ask how many children she had. She already knows at least one, right, Charles? There's more. Ask how many and what their names are. Hopefully you get some answers. Yeah, they're not in there. You don't have to kind of walkie-talkie, but out loud, focus on it however you're comfortable. Again, everybody has their own little method. But again, don't poke the bear with this one. As far as the children go, I'm asking her not to poke the bear because there is a tragedy among those children. If she pokes the bear, all activity will stop, including any EMF readings that we're getting. I keep forgetting who has it. So any readings that Jessica's getting, they're going to stop. Don't poke the bear. So stick with the questions. You're the only one that really can't go rogue, just so you know. Brooklyn, you're going to go after her death. So I figured that would be right up your alley. So with that said, you can ask anything you want to about her death. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So, again, I'm not sure if you are familiar with what a pallbearer is. Do you know what that is? So the people that carry a coffin to somebody's grave, like family members, in honor of the person that just died. Imagine if it was a president carrying you to your grave. Obviously, you're an honorable person, somebody that should be looked at.
When I carried Uncle Art's dad.
Does that make sense now? Like, I carried my grandmother to her grave because I was her favorite grandson. Okay, so kind of take that for what it is. But yeah, there was a president that took her to her grave. Try to find out which president it was. So guess. It's funny.
That's the word disaster.
It was a disaster that happened to the Pinckney Mansion site. So again, you have your first clue, sir. I'm not going to take that as evidence until you get the actual answer. And keep in mind, all of these spirit boxes that are in play tonight, the answers can go anywhere. Brooklyn might be asking questions. Pamela might be asking. Yeah, I got the name right, Pamela? Yes, yeah. Perfect, sorry. You might actually get the answers to what she's asking, or Francisco might hear that back there. You just never know where the answers are going to actually go. That's why I kind of bounce around with all of you, so that way I can kind of see what's going on, and then I'll regroup us, get you all the answers, and kind of show you, like, basically show you what everybody has caught so far. Again, we'll kind of know after about 2 full round robins of me bouncing around with you of what's going on with this location. There are cars in here, so cameras, you kind of know the rules. Don't focus on any cars, just keep things moving along. Lasers cannot go on vehicles either, so just kind of watch where your lasers go. They will set off car alarms. No pressure at all on yours. None.
Nope,
not at all. So I do. Go ahead.
I heard it comes in Atlanta.
So we have Atlanta. So I will be writing down Atlanta. Have we gotten any readings out of yours yet, Jessica?
It's 0.3.
0.3. So
80. Was she 80 years old when she died?
no, but that's a damn good guess.
I still got the word yes, so.
That is so funny that came up that way.
Yeah.
So disaster in 80, I don't have to write down, but you heard weekend in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I'm just going to write down Atlanta.
You want the words that we had when we were at the barn?
Yeah, give me like the last
When we
4
were
or 5.
in front of the John's place,
Yeah.
I got architecture,
Okay.
blade, inside.
Okay. Yeah, part of the 80% garbage.
And then
Oh.
Jameson brother and judge.
Did I swear at
John
any
got
point?
shot.
Somebody tried to like try to correct me, like language? Kind of
I
pointing your
don't
finger at
think
me? I don't know. It's a possibility. Who knows? Very interesting. Yeah, very good point too. All right, we are going to spread out in this location. Again, don't go in between vehicles. And London is going to be bouncing around with you. I'm going to be working with Jessica first so I can show her more about that REM pod. But definitely get yours unmuted. That way you can definitely listen in on there. Again, nice slow movements out of those cameras. The slower you guys move, the easier it is to watch later on. Just so you know, bouncing around with it does not help me at all. Or you, for that matter, when you're trying to watch it. All right, everybody, let's spread out. London will be out in the field helping. London, where do you want to help out first?
I'm gonna figure out this thing first.
Want to put your laser on?
Okay.
Laser on?
This one?
Yeah.
So, Michaela, we're going to give you this spirit box. It doesn't look like our other 2 people are showing up. In the event that they do, you'll have to give it up. So, London will show you how to use that. So just hang on to it for me for right now so that way you guys both have something to use.
I remember my birthday gift from 5 years ago being a part of this tour.
That's not your birthday gift anymore.
That was.
That one was. So, London literally helped me get this started, obviously, since she's complaining that I took all of her gear because Dad needed to go to work. Dad had a great idea, which is why you all are here. So, it's obviously expanded quite a bit with all of the crazy gear that's in your hands. So,
You're welcome.
Thank you.
that's a put your bitch in type of speech.
Oh.
Yeah, you're going to see the banter go back and forth all night long, just so you guys know.
And I got it all on camera.
I get it.
It's all on camera. Awesome. Love it. So,
You're gonna laugh about this later, Dad.
am I? Am I though?
10 years from now.
Yeah. When I'm revisiting your video.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Big John, the place behind me, and you two are, you've got to they've been very quiet since they got here, have they not? So we got to get you guys up and talking. Hopefully you're going to find something on that spirit box. So Big John's behind me is haunted, of course. That's why we start here. And again, here's how this kind of is going to go down. Big John's was named after a football player. His name is Big John Kennedy. He owned the place. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a building, we have 6 spirit boxes in play tonight, possibly more depending on if the 2 of you are going to use yours. But I slowed down on those keywords on purpose. In this location, it will be 47 New York Giants and anything relatable to the name John or a bar, just so you guys know. Those specific clues will come up from time to time. So, what happened here? Big John used to sit in the back of the bar and would tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, 2 guys come in, they're not old enough to drink. John has the bartender throw them out, and they leave pretty pissed off. And they come back the next night and try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, slams down his beer, and goes over and starts pounding these guys right into the floor, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots go off. John gets grazed in the neck with one of the bullets, and the bullet goes behind him in the wall. John gets up after being shot, the only one that's been shot, by the way, goes back to the bartender and tells him to get him another beer, get the 2 guys on the floor in ambulance. Now, normally I tell you that there's a haunted building, you automatically think of some kind of tragic death. What's haunting this place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if the Big John's renovation that we're staring at right now filled in that bullet hole, the blood is still in the building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or a headache. This is your heated warning. In the event we're dealing with paranormal activity tonight, fingers crossed we will, because I can't make the ghosts do anything. They're not on the payroll, Brooklyn, just so you know. I need to know who's feeling those kind of symptoms immediately. We will always blame it on our crazy humidity first, but at the same token, it's not like I've never had to call the EMTs or paramedics in the past. So, again, that way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Fair enough.
Alright, again, we're dealing with paranormal stuff here. Alright, let's get our minds off our own health because we do have parents here. So let's kind of let them stop worrying about their kids like, what the hell did we just sign up for? So, we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another Charleston tour, now you do. The building, Big John's, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantling you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front where all the crazy traffic is. A piece of it broke off during that earthquake, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed him. And so you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because Brooklyn, I don't have any proof. So I don't want you to get like super excited about certain things because some things are going to debunk for you really fast. I just bring up that story as a segue, so that way Brooklyn's not thinking about getting sick on the tour. So, yes, I'm going to point you out again. You're going to use remember because of my daughter London. All right, is everybody ready to go ghost hunting or at least learn more about your devices?
Yes.
All right, we're going to head up this way and get off this humid, loud corner. Still going to be humid, London. Thank you for pointing that out. Appreciate it. Likely that I actually have people not show up.
I just drank a little bit too much.
See, just went back and forth. You guys accept it. Alright. Welcome to the Big Red Barn Lodge. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. This is where people first consider terror.
Breeze.
So that's part of the reason why we use the earbuds for watching now and why San Francisco is unique right now because the horses don't like the white noise. They'll pick that metal wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us.
Wow.
Yeah. Not fun.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's great. But at the same token, the history here is really simple because we're going to go over your devices one more time after I give you the one line of history. This is the same red barn that actually held horses that used to deliver milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords here, obviously being delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So, let's talk about those spirit boxes. We got them all in play tonight. Let's kind of show you how to use them. What do you think the first question is when people get some kind of communication device? Think of a Ouija board. Come on. Silence? Really, guys?
Like the question they asked?
Yeah. What are they asking to go?
Are you real?
Are you here?
Are you
real?
here? Are you here?
Yeah.
Right. So, in the event that somebody hears no, that means somebody's here. So if you ask, hey, is anybody here? And it says no, obviously somebody's here, right? So we're going to stay away from those yes and no questions. We're going to go after the details. Even if you're here as a skeptic, you're here to have some fun and hopefully capture some kind of paranormal proof. You're not going to get it out of yes and no answers. So spirit boxes, I normally teach them when they're using one for the first time to ask a question they already know. For an example, if somebody's here, please tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we are looking, because Dion actually has a looking device, which is the word list, and listening for the color red. However, the rest of your spirit boxes are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages, and that breeze feels wonderful. Just pointing that out on the audio.
Now it does, yeah.
So, but those song lyrics and DJs might not have the word red available to them right away to be able to give you a direct answer. But the word fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. So it's not going to be beyond a shirt. You know what I mean? Because a shirt can be any color. You guys see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So I would take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. I'm good with that. However, most of the night, to be able to verify something as paranormal evidence, I'm going to require that there's at least 2 happenings coming out of your devices in some way, shape, or form. And that could be in an EMF reading. It could be a full sentence being generated among multiple spirit boxes. You're going to see me bouncing around and withholding information on purpose. So that way everybody here has a genuine experience. You're not always going to know the answers to the questions that I will give you to ask. So let's talk about the cameras now that the spirit boxes have a much better gist of how they actually work. So Trey, your device, you're going to try to do 2 things. I know I told you not to film people, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times. The reason for that, we're the warmest thing out here. It's going to give you an array of color on the screen. The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out. The reason for that, blue dot defaults to the sky looking for a surface. There's obviously no surface there. So people in, sky out. That's the easiest thing to do. Now, it's going to be impossible in some spaces. Just do your best. 2 of you, so Dion and Kristen. So go ahead and point one of your lasers at the ground for me. Kristen, go ahead and take 1 step backwards. Perfect. So when you're filming these, I don't want you basically pointing at the ground. You're at a good distance. Yes, exactly. You want to go through it because what we're looking for is going to pass through here. It's not going to be on the ground. We already know what the red squares look like. So when you guys are moving, make sure it's nice and slow movements. Again, you're at the perfect spot because it's just on the tip of your shoe, and you have glitter on your shoe. So that's going to be awesome. We're going to have crazy false positives throughout your entire video. It's going to be great.
Oh, I'm
Are you okay? It's okay. Just go like maybe 6 to 7 inches. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
6 inches away from your toes.
Yeah.
Perfect. The only reason I do that is so that way we have them in control.
I would have never thought that.
So in certain areas, I'll say, let's go ahead and put it against this wall.
Okay.
And I'll position you guys accordingly so that way we can actually, you're not just trying to get something in this, 3-foot, space. We're going to go for like a 5-foot space. And I'll show you kind of how to do that. That thing isn't locked up yet, which is awesome. Yeah, which is a good sign. Yeah, go ahead and keep them off for now. I am going to work, where did I put the, who has the EMF meter? Jeff. I'm getting names right. So I'm going to work with your device at the next location because that's the first place we're going to use that REM pod. Have you seen any numbers move yet? Still on zeros. London, anything going on with yours? Nothing yet? You know what's funny is that it's not the same one I got you for your birthday either. I just remembered that, so joke's on you. Haha. Is everybody ready to learn? This one likes to lock up, and I'd rather it lock up here than later on when we're in the middle of a really good space. So I got a recording, so just kind of keep that in mind. 2 of you with cameras, now that they're both out, there's a reason why I give them out first. People don't like their cars to be filmed. People don't like to be filmed themselves. We will be in some spaces where there will be parked cars. Just, if I do Andy's coming, it means you're basically playing with a cell phone, and Dion, you're pointing your camera at the ground because people don't like their cars to be filmed. So, let's see. Let's get out the accompanying item with that. So, neuralizer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember anything. I need everybody to stare right there. That's a joke. So, lasers. Now that we started doing these super bright lights, so they are not as impressive. Perfect. Yeah, so lasers, the reason why we're using lasers is to hopefully detect motion. So you can't see the lasers till something passes through it. The camera that I just handed to Dion, these things light up like a Christmas tree. Literally, because they're red and green. So, yeah, that's a new line. You like that one, Lon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
now the green one, if we actually, find something in the middle of it, I'll be able to take the still and give it back to you so that way you guys can actually see what we caught. Now the red one is super cool because if we capture something, I'm going to take the still from the camera and then put it in 3D software, give you the full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So, has the software been able to take anything yet? No. I've had this guy about a year now. Everything's been just too blurry. Sorry, I did not mean to blind you. That was total by accident.
I got that in camera. It's okay.
You're going to sue me later for blinding you. Alright, so Kristen, these ones are both going to go to you.
Okay.
Because you have to work with the hubby. So
Okay.
kind of take that in mind.
Alright,
Both lasers have to stay on the ground. Now the red one, go ahead and turn it on. It's got, the red one is the box.
Okay.
So it's got a light switch on it. Just flick it down.
Oh, flick it down?
You got it. Now once it's on, it's on. So you have to be careful where you point it.
Okay.
The rule of thumb here is to always keep the edge of the grid on your toe. So that way, go ahead and push it out a little bit further. Right about there. You want to keep them in control.
Like this?
You got it.
Okay.
Now go ahead and turn that one off.
So,
Now the green one has a button right in the center.
Oh.
You have to hold that one on. Yes. Same thing with this one. Keep it at your toe at all times. Whenever you have them on. We're not going to keep them on every time, just because again, there's a laser law in Charleston. There'll be certain spaces where that's actually safe to use.
Okay.
You're not always in the game, but Miss Brooklyn's going to have something where she's going to be able to share with you in the time that you won't be able to use that. This camera's going to be fair game all night long.
Sweet.
So if we're crazy with lasers, we will get him arrested.
Yes.
Just saying.
Oh no. I want to push the button because my hand's going to pick me up. It's just, you know.
Spirit
annoying.
boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes. There were 3 of you.
Yeah, just coming back.
Like, hang on, did we lose one already? Seriously? Alright, so spirit boxes, basically if you watch the TV shows, this is going to be your white noise, right? So, and then Zach Bagans is going to tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of it. I'm going to keep it in your hand, so you got that? Like, okay, I'm good. Alright, so with this guy, the person using it is going to have an earbud in. They're going to be the only one to hear it in real time, but it will record the entire session. We're using a different method with these, it's not just white noise. So Pamela, this one is going to give you, I have it slowed down on purpose. You're going to hear song lyrics, DJs, commercials, all that stuff is going to be slipping through slowly. If you can make out what it's actually saying, I want to know. If you hear buy a Kia today, I want to know that you heard buy a Kia today. Because it's a commercial and the word buy might actually be relevant to the space that we're in. So kind of keep in mind, no matter how silly you think it is, if it comes through and you can make it out, I want to know what you're hearing. The cool thing is I'm going to be writing down everything that she hears in real time, and I will fact check this in the morning, giving you what I hear out of it when I'm going through it. In the event something is relevant to our space, a person in history that we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you, I will always give you that link to be able to verify that information. So your earwax is gross, you get to keep the earbuds. So those are yours. Undo your twist tie for those, but your volume button is right here. It's the wheel at the top. Don't hit the button. It's definitely the wheel. It's turned all the way down right now, so go ahead and undo that twist tie so that way you can get used to it. Brooklyn, you're going to get the other one. Yay, lucky you. I have 2 of these. However, because you've kind of been on other ghost tours before and seen pretty experienced with this, yours is not recording. So I'm going to have to rely on you on what you're hearing in real time to be able to add it to your notes tomorrow. Now, in the event, because most people only use one earbud with this, so when mom can't use her lasers, and I'm assuming mom, am I correct in that?
No, I'm her sister.
Okay.
Just kidding.
So when sister,
no, I'm her mom.
so when mom isn't allowed to use her lasers, give her the other earbuds. She can help you. That way you guys can verify what you're hearing together. So it's already sweeping. Again, earbuds are yours. You get to keep those. Undo the twist tie. Volume button is the wheel. I'm going to make sure it's turned all the way down so you don't get blasted out when you put it in. Francisco, your spirit box is very interesting. Yours is going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations at the same time and attempt to take out the white noise that Pamela and Brooklyn are hearing in real time and only give you words. Part of the reason why I'm giving this one to you is because it doesn't record, but Trey's device does. So if you stick close together and you miss something, it's going to be on the audio for the camera. So that way we kind of aren't going to miss anything. The only thing you need to worry about is, well, 2 things. First, it's only going to give you about 10 to 12 things you can actually make out through the whole 2-hour time frame. And that way you guys can actually listen in together at the same time anyway. Is how to hold it. The blinking lights at the top. On the right-hand side is a mute button. It's the only button there. I already have it on mute so I can kind of get through the rest of these devices. And then I'll tell you when it's safe to unmute because we're going to be near some phones very soon and they don't like the white noise. I guess my other 2 really aren't showing up tonight. Let me just double check my phone, make sure they did not text me. They did not.
They didn't text me either.
Okay, good job. The next spirit box. Dion, I'm going to give this one to you because I'm going to have to call out your name a lot and I want to make sure I get it right. So So, red, Dion, got it. So this spirit box, we don't have to listen to. It's going to give us words from time to time in the sensor of the screen, kind of like an ovulus on your TV shows. So with that said, it's going to save all of those terms to a list. Last night we had 84 terms. It's a little bit higher than average. We normally see about 75. Here's what I'm going to tell you about this list. This thing is a phone app. It's meant to try to scare you, right? That's the whole point of it. You have the same thing?
I have it.
Oh yeah, we've been using it all day.
I just got important on it, so.
Do you have the upgraded version?
I didn't pay for it.
Okay, so you don't have the 36,000 terms that are in mine. So you have the 2,000 word version.
Yes. I think I got 84 today at the plantation.
So, in a nutshell, just like everybody else is listening to some lyrics these days, 80% of this, guys, is going to be garbage. There's 36,000 terms in here. 80% is going to not mean anything at all. It's going to be the other 5 to 20% that's going to be a detail about the location of where we are, a person's history, something going on with one of us. So again, I don't want to see every word that pops up. I will come to you and show you how to get to that word list, which is right here on the right, and you'll be able to scroll through it when we actually have any words up there. Right now it's just 3 dots. Basically, you're going to hang on to it and use it as a normal spirit box. We have one person left. Let's go with it. Ah, look at me getting names right. Awesome. You're my multitasker. Lucky you, right? So, you guys have probably seen these guys on TV before, right? K2 EMF meters. So, again, London's going to hang on to that. We don't need your spirit box too. We got 3 of them running because I've seen 2
I got one in my pocket, yeah.
So, this is actually going to be using, it's also an EMF detector, but it's way more accurate because it's digital. That only goes to 25. I've seen this one go over 200. So basically anything above 2.5 on your big numbers, I want to know what's going on. That way we can debunk to see if it's something man-made, parking meters, if, wiring, something like that. The bottom number is ambient temperature. In the event that Trey finds something on his camera, you and I will be able to debunk it or prove it pretty quickly with the ambient probe at the top. And the last thing that everybody likes to use is the REM pod. It's a motion sensor. If something gets close to that antenna, it's going to go off. I'm not touching it right now. The closer it gets, obviously the higher the pitch, different colors in there. You and I are going to discuss that a lot more in detail at our second stop because that's the first place we're going to use it. For now, I just need you to kind of get used to the way those red numbers move around. Let's see.
So how does you put all of these instruments together? Put all this evidence together.
You're going to see when I compile the entire thing together, when you look at it as a whole, sometimes there's a theme. It was either one location was more prominent than another. We had more clues to one space than another one. You're going to see, I'm always going to give you an analysis before we leave the space. Like, hey, this was either really light or this is a holy cow moment. And then at the end of the night, I'm always going to be like, guys, this is the gist of how I'm seeing things. We'll see what I capture in the morning. It might be a